Hey now, we are at Rube Marquard, and this is going to be a long video. And it's going to be a long video for someone who probably doesn't even deserve to be in the Hall of Fame autograph analysis. Rube Marquard is discussed. Sorry, Bill James thinks he is the worst starting pitcher in the Baseball Hall of Fame. And a lot of his reasoning for being in the Hall of Fame, I mean, if you go on to Baseball Reference, and I'm looking at it right now, he has no contemporaries. Like no one, like most similar pitchers, most similar by age. Nobody listed with him is in the Hall of Fame. You look at his gray ink, his jaws, his pitching standards, Hall of Fame monitor. None of that is at Hall of Fame level. Most people think the reason why he's in the Hall of Fame is because of one of the greatest books ever written, and it's called "The Glory of Their Times" by Lawrence Ritter. It's a great book. Pick it up. I have a copy upstairs. And what he did was, Lawrence Ritter, is he interviewed a lot of turn century players that were still alive about some of the greats that they played against. And Rube Marquard was still alive, and he romanticized about how great baseball was back then. He told some great stories, and he got into the Hall of Fame in 1971, a few years after this book came out. And he literally credits Lawrence Ritter for getting him into the Hall of Fame, which is probably true. It's like, oh, this is a great guy. So he's in the Hall of Fame. We're going to look at his autograph in a second, but what makes him uniquely distinct is he was, I think, the second to last living player that was featured in the T206 set. So we're going to get to that in a minute. But before we do and talk about all the fakes that are out there, let's look at some real autographs of Rube Marquard as we go into the PSA autograph database. So let me present my screen real quickly here. I should have done this sooner, but I didn't. Okay, so let's go right now into the Rube Marquard. So we're going to start right here. And again, this is from 1970. This is nice as we can still date it. And he died in 1980, I believe 1980. Let me take a look here. 1980 at the age of 94 years old. So this is like 80 years old. He's still signing a pretty nice, neat autograph. A little started shaking on the R right here going around. Richard Marquard, it's pretty rare. Usually is Rube by autographed by most everybody. But you can see right here, the M sticks off. I mean, this, I don't want to go too much into this. And the D usually folds back. It can go all the way here, depending how much flair he had. The M always didn't separate from the A, but the key thing right here to remember is in 1970, he still had a pretty nice autograph. Now we're looking back right here. These are some older letters right here where you can see the Rube, a little like Roger Hornsby. It's not a full all the way R, but again, very nice. The like M goes straight down. It can look like a Y later on. We're going to get to that. Sometimes the D looped around and came down like earlier autographs, but not always. Again, this is a beautiful sign. I don't know when this is because I have a little window here. But again, you see how the M, nice straight points right here, break between the M and the A, the R, the Q. He had a nice, neat, legible autograph during his playing career and shortly thereafter. Now, here we have your usually typical signed autograph. We're going to come back to this again. So when you mailed Rube Marquard, and he was a very good through the mail signers, like most of them were that in the 70s, he signed in a black felt tip pen. And you can see right here, this D came way out. But again, my guess is this is a later in life autograph. It's one consistent signature. You can see he never took his pen off the paper all the way through. The B comes up pretty high. The R later in life was a little bit higher, but usually the B is the highest point in his autograph, believe it or not. But again, no hesitancy right here, no real shakiness. And even at 94 years old, that was pretty common for him. Again, this is a very vintage 1940 signature. I don't even really want to look at this because so many autographs to him were not signed during his career because they didn't think he was going to be a Hall of Famer. Not that 1940, the Hall of Fame was very young. Now, this is a rare single sign baseball, and you can see the B is higher than the R. Again, this is what you want to see. A beautiful D, it comes out, sticks out, and comes back down like this. Unfortunately, and we're going to get to this, most single sign baseballs are forgeries. This one right here, I don't think it's a forgery. It's pretty nice, as you can see right here. But again, and we talked about this. He signed with the black felt tip pen. And we're going to start looking at more autographs later on, and I'll tell why I would avoid single sign autographs. Again, this is a much nicer. You can see there's really no hesitancy at all. The B is a little at the same height or higher than the R. Again, he took his time, like late, or again, this is, you can see he dated in 1955. And again, I think this is good as well. We're going to get to the T206s, and the T206s is where things really take a turn. And I wouldn't buy any T206. I'm not a signed card collector, but T206s obviously are very rare autographs. Not a lot of people were getting signed by the time these players passed away. And there's one particular collector, which we'll talk about. We're going to come back and revisit these later on right here. Again, this right here as well. You have to really be careful with these T206s. And I know what you're saying, but it's on the PSA website. It must be good. We're going to come back to that. And you can be the judge whether or not these are good or not. But again, just because it's on the website doesn't mean that it's good. Again, beautiful 1925 autograph. You're not going to see these. These are gorgeous. And again, you can see this is dated 1965. Signed Richard. There's a couple of these out here. This is a signed passport. You can see right here, United. Otherwise, this passport expires. And he probably signed a lot of his collections, sold a lot of his collections as well later on. So we've gone through Rube Marquard. So I'm going to close this window. And there was a big in 2018. It turned out that a bunch of T206 signed forgery autographs came to light. And the people in Net 54 did a great job finding this. So what happened is, I'm going to move my microphone a little bit closer. Hopefully it stays on. What happened was this. This card came out saying, did I buy a fake? This guy just bought an autograph signed Rube Marquard right here. You're looking at right here. We talked about he signed in a black felt tip pen. Very common when he did his autograph. So what happened was, came with the JSA LOA, and these are just facts. Rumor is Jimmy Spence personally authenticated this. I don't know for sure with that. Sends it to SGC. SGC fails it. Now, not that SGC is perfect. They're pretty much out of the autograph game now. You're going to see why in a second. So all these autographs started coming out of Rube Marquard and others T206. Very rare names. And what people in Net 54 did is they figured out down here. I want to scroll down a little bit. They found all these T206 because they're so rare and they were not taken very good care of. Each one almost has a unique fingerprint, let's call it. So they found a T206 card. They found it unsigned right here. And they obviously it was graded, and boom, all of a sudden now it has a Rube Marquard autograph on it. So obviously the autograph is fake. So going back up here, what they think what happened was is someone took a good Rube Marquard autograph here, which is basically right here, copied it right here, and like almost identical. But it's forged right here, and we can prove now that this was a bad autograph. And again, they look very similar. And this one may be forged also. I don't know. So there is an expert. He has his own website right here. And he was able, so what happened was originally, there was a collector in 1973 that was mailing out T206 cards, and they came back, and these are good. And there are some good T206 cards out there. And so what he found is with Rube Marquard, he put the ones on his website, and he bought a lot of bad ones. I've talked to him before. And so by this age, he was in his, let's say, God, he had to be in his 80s by now. And usually he started signing straight and sort of fell off. So if you look at the ones he has that we know are good, they're signed almost completely vertically right here. So what he came to the conclusion is most Marquards that are not good are more shaky. These are like not that shaky as you can see. Yes, the pen feathered as you can see right here. But you see how they're on a nice plane right here. So let's go back to okay, we're going to go back to this ball later in a second. So again, let's go back to these autographs right here. You could see they start vertically right here. And then a lot of these started coming out. And you could see they're like almost like see how they're almost on an oval shape right here. And so again, if we go out, then all of a sudden now we find this one person, And you can see they're all 135771. There's 002-005. And then anything with this angle that they're all over the place is pretty much determined lately have been forgeries. So like RUB looks like an I and an E right here. Again, a lot of them are SGC authentics. And again, they failed this one, but again, these were submitted a long time ago. And you just have to be careful. And so as people started going out, they started finding these T206 cards when they originally sold in pretty poor condition. And they found them unsigned. And there's a lot here. I mean, eventually they caught up, and there's a whole thread on a bunch of cards. I can't find, you can Google them. Maybe this is right here. They found, like, for example, Home Run Baker, Elmer Flick, Larry Doyle. Again, a lot of these, Jesse Tannehill, all these fake cards were coming out by this one guy out of Ohio. So I'm going to start closing these. So you just really have to be careful. My advice is don't ever buy a signed T206 card. I mean, there's so many out there. And again, if you look at this one right here, this one is not, look, 1357771. This is 2, 5, and 4. I've since found this is number 1. And again, they're signed all over the place. If Rube Marquard got all these in a row, you know what I'm saying? He probably signed them nearly identically. But like right here, you could see like these are all from the same submission, but they're all signed differently. Isn't that weird? And they all have different signatures. So if a guy, what did he do? Send one, got it back, or decided to sign it differently than the ones we know are good, which have excellent provenance from this one collector that Paul bought it from. I don't think so. So again, this is 001. I think I found another one. This is like so odd. Do I know it's not good? No, I wasn't there to see it. But again, there's no provenance to this. Again, this is a more recent sign authentication. But again, it doesn't make it good. Doesn't make it good at all. You want a nice, tight signature. These are spread out. Again, anything with SGC authentic, they haven't done this in a really long time. And again, this was sold pre-2018. Maybe this one's good. Actually, this one is a nice rush signature, and rumor is this one is good, and it could be good. I don't know. It's not in the same batch as we talked about with these 135. So look at this one and look at this one. Like, this is a nice rush signature, which is actually what you want to see, really tight. Now look at this one. See, it doesn't like flare out. Like, let's go back to this. Yeah, this one flares, and he had a flare. This is what you expect to see from a Rube Marquard autograph. Again, a lot of these, this one is just like shaky all over. I'm going to close this, but again, it has this 135-771. I found that we're going to go back to the baseballs in a second. I thought I found another one. Yeah, here's another one from the same submission. And again, this is a Rube Marquard. Like, they're all over the place. And I'm sure whoever bought this, if they wanted to sign this, if I own this and I don't own this, I would have broken this out of its case, try to resubmit, or maybe I would have kept it. I don't know. It's just like, you have to be so careful. Again, here's another one, a really old, like Spence LOA and SGC haven't been associated in a while. But again, anything that's like has this old SGC, I would just be leery of. Even though this just sold a couple years ago, it sold for pretty low. A real signed T206 card is thousands of dollars. I think collectors now that are in the market for this have become aware of this issue. Auction houses are not pulling these auctions because, listen, it's not their job to authenticate signatures. It's their jobs to sell signatures that are authentic. I'm like, oh, Jimmy Spence has Spence LOA. It must be good, even though we know Spence screwed up on the one for sure. So any more signed 206? Yeah, this is the same one again. I just pulled before. So let's talk baseballs now. Again, almost all these baseballs you see now are just signed. And again, this one may be good. I mean, it's sold in 2010, but it's not hesitant. It's really rushed right here. I'm just going to start closing these because, again, just be careful of the signed T206 cards. I want to get to the signed baseballs real quickly here. I'm going to start closing these. And like I said, I wouldn't buy anything shaky by him. If I would buy a Rube Marquard, it would have to be a very nice, legible signature. None of these 135. I think these are all bad. Like anything because they're all like this one we think is bad because it's all over the place. It's not on a level plane. And it was all submitted with this one group. So again, I don't think they're good. So now we're on to the side baseballs. And again, we talked about the B should be the highest part of the baseball. And again, anything signed by Rube Marquard, Marquard. I can't pronounce his name anymore. Usually the B is the highest point, especially later in life baseballs. So again, I don't like any autograph of his where the D doesn't flare out, number one. I would not want to sign in black. Now, I'm sure some of these are good. It's just something I would look out for. I mean, usually when he signed, the B was the highest part of his autograph, or at least it should be close to it. See here, it's not whatsoever. Same thing with this right here. Could it be good? Yeah, but usually there's not a break between the U and the A. I mean, going back to here, you can see it's all one. Again, right here, again, all one. My guess is whoever signed this one as well. They look pretty much spot on. Oh, guess what? This is the same baseball. Ha, 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 ha. My fault. No wonder it's signed. So again, this person who signed this, let's go back to this one right here. I mean, see how the M comes up? See, at least the B is a little bit higher right here. It's almost signed, whereas here it's much lower. It could be good. I don't know. It's just like you have to be so careful with these. So careful. And again, you take a crappy baseball, add a Rube Marquard, add it, and it's good. So maybe it is good. I don't know. So the short answer is like, this is not an expensive signature at all. I would just be sticking with a signed index card, a signed government postcard. If you're like into signed baseballs, and I know a lot of people are, I don't want to knock. I just think you want to buy a nice, tight, compact signed baseball. Spend extra money for it. Don't buy one that's shaky at all. So that is a lot of time with Rube Marquard, one of the least deserving players in the Hall of Fame. But I feel it's worth it because there's so many fakes out there, especially signed cards. And I wish I could tell you what to look for exactly, but they're so shaky, and he lived to 94, so his autograph is going to get shaky. The bottom line, and my advice, personal advice, is don't buy a signed T206 card at all. So unless you're like Paul, talk to Paul. Paul really knows his stuff. So I appreciate everyone spending so much time on this. Who are we going to next? Pedro Martínez. Much easier autograph to get. So as always, keep collecting.